well, I didn't think it was quite possible, but it seems that David Gilmour is dropping a new album. Now all he needs to do is not say anything stupid.
Fuck.
Ooh, but still, it's got to be better than that Roger Waters' Dark Side of the Moon Redux album, right?
I want you to use all your powers and all your skills. I don't want his mother to see him this way. Look how they massacred my boy.
Hi people and hello my Chicken Carnage crew, it's Chili here, the man who produces Iron From My Eyes, doing a 5-minute review on David Gilmour's newest album, Luck and Strange. What a weird album title that is, Luck and Strange. I don't know where he gets this one from, because it just doesn't seem to have that right rhyme to it. It just seems to be without reason. Still, I wasn't expecting a new album by David Gilmour, and if I'm being honest, the thought of hearing a new release by one of prog rock's best guitarists as he enters his winter years, and of course arthritis takes a hold, seems like an absolute shit show to witness. But even if this effort was going to be a car crash, then I'm not going to miss it. After all, it's not like David Gilmour's going to be reviewed by some other person on this platform, is it? Now, Luck and Strange is Gilmour's 5th or 6th solo outing, depending on how you view the Metallic Spheres album he did, of course, with The Orb a few years prior. It is also his first in 10 years since Rattle That Lock. Quite an epic album, if I may say so myself. So the main question is, does this album seem to follow that path?
Stopped hoping it's an early age.
Now, Between 2 Points was the first song I heard off this record, and features a guest spot of vocalist by David Gilmour. Now, it was at this point that I had to go and check the family tree because this fine young vocalist was doing a fantastic job. And here I was surprised to find out that the 22-year-old Romany is of course the daughter to David Gilmour, and his youngest of 8 children that he has. Damn, he is still living the rock and roll lifestyle if you are still going strong this late in your life. I feel it should be pointed out here that Mick Jagger just turned father again back in 2016, but still, damn, that is just an effort. Maybe that was also one of the reasons why the Rolling Stones recorded their new material for the first time in a few decades. Hey, just saying, you know, like having kids, very stressful times. Now, as far as I'm concerned, Romany is the MVP on this tune, as her lyrics are potent, and despite being a small sounding presence, it's rather infatuating to hear what she has to offer. What I was really surprised about here is David takes more of a back seat on this track for most of the part, and it's just 4 notes on loop for nearly 4 minutes. Yeah, of course it builds the atmosphere, but it's so very repetitive, and it just gets on my nerves. Luckily the band has his back, and it does carry this tune more so than he does, which is very unfamiliar for David Gilmour himself. Usually it's the other way around if I'm being honest. But here we are. Still, he does well on the guitar solo to recover, but it just still feels like quite a lackluster song, and is rather weak to be honest for his half of it. There is no reason why he couldn't perform this solo, I guess, with Romany doing the vocals around it. I just feel that it would have improved this already repetitive tune. Just knocking out that repetitive section, removing it, and replacing it with a much more intriguing part. I don't know why I'm so dissatisfied with this single. After all, it is still a good track, but it's just not quite as epic as I guess I thought it could be. It just feels, well, repetitive. There is no other way to sugarcoat it. It just goes on and on and on and on, loops back and forth, until at least David takes his guitar solo, and then we are just transcending into a new section of the song. But geez, that's 4 minutes later. As for Dark and Velvet Nights, well, that's pretty forgettable if I'm being completely honest, and feels like a knockoff version of Rattle That Lock from 10 years prior. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this review, I wasn't expecting a new David Gilmour album, and if I'm being brutally honest, I wish we didn't have a new one either. The music on hand is extremely confusing, and feels rather lackluster, with his age being the main proponent as to why he cannot push himself like he used to. In other words, play within your limits and play it well. What we get on this record is extreme minimalism even for a Gilmour album, just updated with a new twist or variation, and it is this new side of Gilmour I just can't wrap my head around, and I expect many other fans will probably fall under the same category. You're going to enjoy this album to a degree, but you're going to feel very confused about it. There are minimal guitar solos on this record, and instead he is relying on the band to get him through each tune, while relying on a small amount of funk from this backing group to amp up each song, rather than of course relying on David Gilmour like on past efforts, and I think that is what is missing from this album. I get it, music is band effort, but if you go over the past 2 albums and removed all the other instruments, you would still have some epic David Gilmour riffs or solos, unlike on this album right here, where his approach is almost non-existent, that I have to wonder if this really is a solo album without the said solo musician. It's also rather odd, but not all is at a loss or a write-off. Besides, between 2 points, there are 2 other standouts on here with Scattered, a song that almost hints at echoes with its sound effects, and the title track Luck and Strange, which is an intriguing tune, but it has the added bonus of being re-included at the end of this album as a bonus track, as its original jam piece in its full 14-minute runtime. And of course, that finally feels like David Gilmour himself has let his wings unfolded and feels rather uncaged, and it's not even meant to be on the original album. Why is the most Gilmour aspect of this record a bonus track that was an afterthought? Yes, I have Ghost features a return by David Gilmour, of course, for a song that was released as a single 4 years ago. Maybe I did hear this song 4 years ago, and maybe this was the first single that I heard from this record, but I don't remember it, to be honest. And I have to wonder how much of this album was recorded over different sections in his life, as it clearly wasn't done all in one time. It gives the album a loose feeling of being an odd compilation record, while simultaneously being the biggest letdown from this musician I have so much respect for. And at the end of the day, I just feel perplexed, because I was so surprised by this record. What happened over the last few years for this musician to change so much? Who knows? If there's any consolidation about that last single, I don't think it was named after the band Ghost and their debut EP, but could you imagine if it was? That would be the most unlikely collaboration to exist, but I'm not against hearing it. Overall, I'm going to give this album a score of 4 million chilies on the spicy scale, with my favourite tracks being between 2 points, Scattered and Luck and Strange, the original barn jam. David Gilmour's solo material in this millennium has been pretty strong up until recent. On an Island was poignant, and Rattle That Lock was a showcase that he still could write great tunes. One of the best things to come out of the solo albums has of course been the subsequent tour and inevitable release of live records, such as Live in Gdansk or Live in Pompeii. But I have to wonder how he would sound now. Would he still have it or not? If he toured, I would have to see him, but now I'm airing caution given this recent effort. Well, at least there's one thing that we can take away from this entire record, that despite how bad it may be, it definitely is nowhere near as much of a turd sandwich that The Dark Side of the Moon Redux was by Roger Waters himself. And yes, even if David Gilmour can't perform as well as he used to, at least I'm not hearing some audiobook being read out to me for half an hour like Roger Waters does at his concerts. So yes, I would rather see a bad David Gilmour at the end of the day over whatever the hell Roger Waters is doing these days. If you've enjoyed this content, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to us, and stay notified for future music related content, because it keeps our manager happy at the end of the day. We are also on Discord, Instagram, Facebook, and all those other social platforms if you want to check us out. As always, people, you have a great day and stay spicy.